I feel terrible about this. When I was a kid, a set like this was the pride and joy of our home. As it was for so many parents who aspired for a better education for their children than the one they'd had, the Encyclopaedia Britannica was an expensive but treasured investment. Door-to-door salesmen used to convince working and lower middle-class families to spend far more on this one set than they had probably paid for all the other books they had ever bought combined. Each payment by instalment, the Never Never, promised for their children what they had never had themselves. And now, look what has become of them. This is not just a sorry sight, but a shameful one. No one who understands what these books would have meant for the family who bought them could look on this scene and not be pained. I feel I've committed a crime against culture, trampled on the dreams and aspirations of the generations before me, dropped the baton of learning that was trusted to my hands. But the truth is, like many great books, they were generally more admired than read. Sure, every now and again someone would say, "Look it up in the encyclopedia," or you'd open one up, looking to answer a question that was bugging you, and often failing to find it. But only a tiny fraction of the 44 million words were ever read. Most of the 30,000 odd pages were never even opened. Was I the only one who didn't even really understand the difference and relationship between the 17-volume Macropedia and the 12-volume Micropedia, the 2-volume Index and the 1-volume Propoedia? No wonder most gathered dust. We literally didn't know how to use them. And then came the internet. The books went from underemployed to redundant. It took the publishers a while to accept this. In 2012 they bowed to the inevitable and started phasing out the printed version. This instantly raised their value, and so the last limited deluxe Renaissance-bound print edition was selling for £2,495. You can now get the whole thing online or on your phone for $1.99 per month. In our small homes, the space demanded by these 32 volumes became increasingly hard to justify. These ones moved down into a cellar, where damp began to do its work. They were still usable when a search for a more appreciative owner was started. But nobody wanted them. You couldn't even give them away. Libraries and schools had no use for them. Individuals didn't want them cluttering up their homes. The most precious, costly possession we had was now a worthless waste of space. The flat with the cellar became the flat with a cupboard or two. So in plastic boxes they sat in the garden. But the boxes weren't watertight after all. Even in their fallen state, I had to find some good use for them. I had thought of redeeming the damage by transforming the books into a work of art. Each one would be meticulously shredded, their pages used to make papier-mâché facsimiles of each volume, reducing them from functional objects to merely symbolic ones, and so arguably making them more into themselves. They would then be auctioned online to see if by their transformation they had become more or less worthless. Half would be sold for charity to see if that lifted or lowered prices. And the public would vote for the good cause, books or computers for Africa, kin or nemesis. The encyclopedia had been killed by an internet that would now be the means for its rebirth. I still like the idea, but like much conceptual art, perhaps it is as good described as actually created. And so instead, a funeral pyre. ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Or perhaps it's more fitting to recite the sacred secular liturgy of the spine. Arctic to biosphere, birds to chess. Chicago to death, decorative to Edison. Education to evolution, excretion to geometry. Geomorphic to immunity, India to Ireland. Islam to life, light to metabolism. Metaphysics to Norway, number to Prague. Pre-Columbian to saint, San Francisco to Southern. Spain to Union, united to Zoroastrianism. We mourn not just this particular set of books, but a whole set of ideas they represent. And amidst the mourning, perhaps some celebration too. For what have we lost? The idealistic dream that by acquiring knowledge we might come to improve ourselves, live better than those who came before us. The respect for learning that requires its finest achievements to be bound in luxurious leather. The need for parents who want more for their children to shell out a small fortune for a set of books that will almost certainly be much more appreciated in retrospect than during childhood itself. The ossification of knowledge in authoritative texts to be revised only every decade or so. Respect for the authority of experts. The assumption that we can trust authorities to tell us who the experts are. Information as private property. Books as precious objects to be loved and looked after. Books as furniture. Books as status symbols. This is what one set of encyclopedias has become, and this is what knowledge and understanding has become. The gift of a lifetime, a treasure to last forever, has been boiled down to a short internet video. The ideas that win are the ones that can be expressed in an entertaining YouTube clip. If it's the quantity of views that counts, the metamorphosis is triumphant. But if it's the quality of the view, and what has enduring value for the viewer. Time's up. What else is trending now?